Hello. I'm going to explain today a few different varieties of assessments that come from the early literacy skills. First, let's start with informal assessments. Informal assessments are ones that you take as an educator as observations and notes throughout your lessons or um, in the daily routine of your class, things that you are seeing the student doing and reading um, throughout their sections. Diagnostic tests are tests that are going to help you level your student and see where any gaps may be or where they are, what they need to do, diagnosing exactly what they need as a student. Screening assessments, making sure that you're giving them the right intervention as you are starting your intervention, looking at your interventions and making sure that you are giving the student exactly what they need. And then progress monitoring. These are assessments that you will do periodically to make sure that your interventions and your lessons are giving the students exactly what they need. All of these different types of assessments and monitorings are extremely important when it comes to your lesson planning and intervention planning, and making decisions, because it gives you information on exactly what the student will need and exactly where that student is at. Having that information in front of you is your documented proof that students need intervention or are progressing where they need to or not when it comes down to maybe having to put them on an individual education plan or giving them some extra intense intervention. A couple different kinds of interventions that um, I have used in the past and have been researching a lot about. The first one is a DIBELS assessment. This is the Dynamic Indicators of Basic Early Literacy Skills. The great thing about DIBELS is that it is given every grade K through 3 to every student, but then can be used for some diagnostic purposes and screening purposes for 4th through 8th grade. It is can be digital or it can be also on paper, but the teacher is giving the assessment. So you are seeing and hearing exactly what the student is seeing, and saying, so that you don't um, get any guesses, or they can't just take a guess and get it correctly on some online assessments. One of the downfalls is that it is timed and that, things can be a little biased when it comes to a student. You might be like, well, I think they meant to say this. So it has to be very well implemented and you have to be trained explicitly in this assessment. Another assessment is the IXL assessment. It is an online program that not only diagnoses the areas that a student might need, but it gives you grade level proficiency and it gives you real time progression. So throughout each process, it will give you things that will be um, useful at a real time lesson planning or interventions. It's not delayed at all. The program is very engaging and it has lessons all the way up to 12th grade in math and literacy with about 180 skills that are being assessed, and then you can have lessons. You may also take them and make very personalized lessons for the students, and as an educator, you can make personalized assessments to assess exactly what you are looking for with them. That is an online program that can be used throughout districts and in school buildings. Another assessment is the really great reading assessments. They they start at foundational letter naming, phonological awareness. They have sight words, advanced surveys, and they even have program surveys. So depending on which part of the really great reading programs you might be using, if the student test to be on their boost level or blast level, or maybe even an HD word level. Those are types of programs for students in phonics skills that they can assess within those assessments. They're very leveled, and then there is also, you can take advancement of each level. Some things that do not pertain is the progress monitoring. I find that there's not enough progress monitoring within the program, so you do need to find those on your own. Um, a few things that as an educator we can do to integrate the assessments in our lessons. Really simple informals every single day. You can do exit tickets that can be paper or digital for seeing where you're going in your lessons. Running records with students in fluency, having students in small group. You can just pinpoint some students that you want to kind of watch and observe every day or give a quick small assessment to. There is also just a running record on a clipboard as you're walking around the class or doing things, making and jotting down notes. That is very important to assess the next level. Discussion groups, having students talk, is a big deal about what you need to have in your classroom to be able to do and give them the next step and make sure that they are progressing at the level they need to be progressing. But definitely remember to integrate some progress monitoring depending on what you are doing, whether it be weekly, bi-weekly, even once a month. Make sure that there is a set purpose for your progress monitoring so that you can make sure that your students are progressing and you don't need to adjust, or maybe you do need to adjust your lessons and your interventions for that student to make them successful. Thank you.